Well, he's not telling you it's bad to drink.
What is the reason? What is the reason why you're supposed to not hang around the drunkards?
You could become one.
You could become one, and as verse 21 says, the drunkard and the glutton will come to poverty. What's the real concern? The real concern is falling into poverty. This is one way in which poverty comes about. So instead of, this is what so many people do.
Talking deficit of money or deficit of truth?
Both. Especially because the next one, slumber will clothe them with only rags. And that's what we always need to see, is you have the thing you're not supposed to do, and the reason for the thing you're not supposed to do. And what we have again and again and again throughout Scripture, when people talk, yes, cultures have changed from the time then to the time now. What must be held consistent is the core. The core is the thing that must be held consistent. Did they know how to make, for example, wine coolers, what would you say, 3.2 alcohol level wine coolers back in the day? Not really, unless they diluted it a whole lot. Okay? So will one wine cooler leave you in abject poverty clothed with rags? No, one wine cooler will barely make you most people, barely make you go, huh, kind of tingly. Yeah. That's all for the most part it will do to most folks. But there are so many who will see this and say, okay, no drink whatsoever, and we will completely protect you from any and all of its effects. We call that fundamentalism. Absolutely, we call that fundamentalism.
Those kind of people forget that heavy drinking is the only stupid thing you can do. Because if you try and protect yourself from every stupid thing, you stay in bed. You wouldn't get up.
Yeah. Yeah. And in fact, I tell you what, let's look at what else Solomon has to say about this. Because interestingly, and your footnotes in the New Study Bible will even point it out, that verse 29 through 35 is the longest section of consistent teaching ever since chapter 9, 1 through 9 of Proverbs. And it's about drink. So could someone read verses 29 through 35 of Proverbs 23?
Who has woe? Who has sorrow? Who has strife? Who has complaining? Who has wounds without cause? Who has redness of eyes? Those who tarry long over wine, those who go to try mixed wine. Do not look at wine when it is red, when it sparkles in the cup and goes down smoothly. In the end it bites like a servant and stings like an adder. Your eyes will see strange things, and your heart utter perverse things. You will be like one who lies down in the midst of the sea, like one who lies on the top of a mast. They struck me, you will say, but I was not hurt. They beat me, but I did not feel it. When shall I awake? I must have another drink.
The longest consecutive teaching on any one thing since Proverbs 9. And it's on drinking. All right? Now, I hope that not many of you can relate to this, but many of us can. Though I've never known beer to cause you to hallucinate things. But I guess back in those days, they had some pretty good wine. And you'll say things you don't mean. Your heart will utter perverse things. It'll sting and bite. Your head hurts like nothing in the morning. Any of you ever been on a boat that's not a pontoon boat and just lie down in the middle of it and let the waves kick the boat? Okay, likely leads to seasickness if you're like me. But I did try it once. Didn't like it. Anyone ever been on a sailing ship? They're at the top of the mast. The top of the mast on a sailing ship is rather quite like what you would think of the back of the bus. You ever sit in the back of the bus? You feel every single bump and swerve on the back of the bus. That's what the top mast is like. Is you're going all over the place. So when you're drunk, he's saying you swerve around a bit. And also the tendency for brawling. They struck me, but I was not hurt. Beat me, but I didn't feel it, because your senses are deadened by the alcohol. And the kind of dream-like state that you're not really sure what is. You don't have much memory of it. Go figure. Solomon kind of knows what's going on. In Ecclesiastes, Solomon says that he tried it. He purposely, for the sake of the experiment, got wasted. Just so he could know it and experience it and be able to pass the wisdom on.
That's odd, because you tell your children a lot of times you don't want to experience that.
Yes. Yes. And his conclusion? You don't want to experience that.
So in general, he didn't use, or I guess maybe he used alcohol, but he didn't use it.
And
Yes, he was good.
that's where we're at. It's real interesting. Look at verse 30. Okay, who is it who has redness of eyes and wounds without cause and sorrow and strife and complaining?
Those who tarry long over wine.
Yeah. Does it say those who take a sip of wine? Those who drink the glass of red wine every night with their dinner? No, what does it say?
Drink too much of it.
Tarry long. Those who drink a whole bunch of it. Who spend maybe an hour or two sitting there doing nothing but drinking. Those are the ones. And so what you have to do is you have to see the distinction. You have to see the fine line. And it is a fine line. You have to know it and follow it. Now, while we're here, you'll notice he does make distinctions between different types of wine. There's wine, there's mixed wine, there's the very, very red wine, which if you'll notice, most wine should come out looking kind of black if you make it out of red wine. For some reason it comes out pretty blackish, not all that red. What this is very, very fresh, very heady wine. So it's the freakishly strong wine. It's the undiluted wine. When it sparkles in the cup, it's still that same kind of new wine. And the really smooth going down. Have you ever noticed the higher the alcohol content, the smoother it is? Most of the time. Most of the time. And that's what Solomon's saying. You know, Oklahoma, in its great Baptist Bible Belt's tendencies, made it illegal to purchase at any regular place, any convenience store or non-liquor store, anything over 3.2% beer. You're not allowed to get 5-point beer, even though most places in the country sell 5. Oklahoma is a 3.2. It's the attempt to get the less intense alcohol, which 3.2 is pretty much the same that you'll get from a wine cooler. Okay. I don't know. Does Nebraska have that? Can you buy a 5-point beer here in Nebraska?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whenever I make a trip to Oklahoma, I'm supposed to take a couple cases
Yep.
with
And that is the reason why. That is the reason. It does taste different. It does taste different. It tastes a whole lot more watered down in Oklahoma because it is. But now here's the question. Is the Bible completely against wine?
No.
No. Now, let's say that you have a friend who, who did I hear that from the other day? Who listens to the Moody Church Hour on the radio. And it was only a week or two ago that they went through a wine is bad series. A liquor is bad series. How would you respond to your friend who says, oh no, the Bible clearly teaches that wine and liquor are bad?